Hey, it's Steve. A tackle tip for you. And I think this is a pretty good one. One that not a lot of people think about. When you buy a reel, on the box is printed a gear ratio. It's also printed how much line it takes up with one revolution. So let's say it says it takes up 30 inches of line per turn of the reel handle. Okay. That's only true at one point. That's right. It's only true at one point. How about the gear ratio? Well, the gear ratio is the same. If this reel, this Pflueger, cheap Pflueger reel, says that it's 6.1 to 1 or whatever it is, that means on one turn, the spool's going to turn 6.1 times. No matter how much line is on it, it doesn't change. But the amount of line per turn of the reel handle changes a lot when you make a cast. You see, the box will tell you that, say it holds 110 yards of 20-pound line. At that point, and only at that point, that reel, when you turn the reel handle at the 6.1 to 1 gear ratio, will have a line turn or a line pull of 30 inches, just like it says on the box. As long as you've got that amount of line and the reel pretty full. Okay? What happens when you make a cast? Say I make a long cast and I cast half the line off of this reel. What happens to the amount of line it picks up per turn? Well, the gear ratio does not change at all. Zero change. But the amount of line per turn, it may decrease by 20 to 30%, which is why a lot of times you have to slow your retrieve as you get closer, because the closer you get, if you keep turning the reel handle at the same speed, it's going to be moving faster. So if you want to optimize a reel and you want to keep it as close to factory specs as possible, number one, pick out a reel that's the right size for the line pound test and the distance of cast you're going to make. Because what happens is the wider that spool is, with a longer cast, the less the spool diameter is going to decrease. That means that the amount of line that you take in per turn of the handle is going to decrease less with a larger, wider spool than one with a narrower spool. Something to think about. That's why everybody says, well, I have a 6.1 to 1 gear ratio reel, but it only takes up 27 inches when the other competitor takes up 32. How can they be the same gear ratio? It's all on the diameter of the spool and the width of the spool and how much line is on it and the diameter of the line. All these things are factors. Is it a big deal? Well, for most applications, it's probably not a huge deal. But when you're making a long cast and you're struggling to keep up with turning the reel handle to make a lure or a bait or catch up to a fish, think about this. Maybe go to a wider spool reel, something with a little more capacity. That way it doesn't affect your line per turn as much. Till next time, for Really Fishing, I'm Steve.